Our next performer is Scott Kadrlik from Apple Valley. He's 25 years as a CPA, 2 years as a stand-up comedian, graduated from our college in 1980, and he happens to be on our accounting advisory board. Now, Scott, I want you to know that's not going to get you any additional points, but we're glad that you're a graduate of our institution. He is called a CPA accountant comedian. Scott Kadrlik, please welcome him.
Wow, thanks a lot. You guys must have got tax refunds this year. How about that Ron Thomas? He's the Dakota County's Got Talent's very own Jerry Springer. I'm pretty glad to be here. You know, I've always known I was gonna be a CPA ever since my mom bronzed my first pair of wingtips. In grade school, the nuns made me the auditor of the school lunch program. You know, back then I was before calculators, so if you made a mistake, they'd wrap your fingers with a slide rule. In grade school, I also played Little League, and in Little League, you know how it went. If you weren't very good, they'd put you out in right field. And if you weren't any good at right field, you were the statistician. I was the statistician. I also got to, I had the scariest Halloween costume as a kid. Used to wear a short sleeve white shirt, skinny black tie, go door to door. Trick or treat! Guy'd say, what are you supposed to be? I'm an IRS agent. That would scare the hell out of him. What do you want? I said, give me 40% of your candy. Then I'd leave without saying thank you. I went to college here, decided to major in accounting as a way to meet chicks. I found that women went to college as a way to meet anybody but an accountant. I did, actually, over the years, I had developed quite a good client base and started looking at my clients as a way to find a mate. And so I started charting both personal and financial information about my clients. I actually put together a pretty good list of several female clients and one really rich guy. I did actually meet my wife preparing tax returns. She met all the criteria. Steadily climbing income, moderate deductions, and above all, no exemptions. That's kids, just so you know. You know, accountants, we do have our heroes, and mine's Alan Greenspan. Now, Alan, former chair of the Federal Reserve Board, he's huge in the accounting world. He's the accounting world's Ryan Seacrest. Alan can really bring in a crowd. I got to see him speak at a conference of accountants, and they called it Nerd Fest. And Alan can bring in a crowd. The women wanted him, the men wanted to be him. Actually, he's got Tom Jones appeal, and the female accountants in the room were actually going up and throwing their panties up on stage. Now, if you know any female accountants, they weren't those frilly thong panties either, but big old granny panties were flying up there. It was like 101st Airborne on D-Day landing there. You know, in our firm, we also talk a lot about service and trying to determine service, and we're struggling with the term because it's tough to understand what service means. We see names and we see how people use service, and we struggle with it. We see things like service station. Do we still get any service from the service station? Or United States Postal Service, and that kind of bothers us. And even the term Internal Revenue Service, how does that work? Well, one day I was sitting with one of my clients. He's a farmer, and he says, you know, I'm looking for a bull to service some of my cows. And instantly I knew exactly where the term Internal Revenue Service came from. We, over the years, you know, I see a lot of weird things and a lot of weird tax deductions. And, you know, I always get the guy that comes in and he wants to deduct his pony for his daughter, and I have to say no. And the guy that wants to deduct his snowmobile, and I have to say no. I did actually have a lady come in and want to know if she could deduct her breast implants. This I was going to look up. So I spent some time in the Internal Revenue Code, didn't find a whole lot. I went out on the internet and typed in breast implants. There's about 3 million hits. That took some time to go through. Actually, I had her come back in, and I said, you know, we're not going to be able to deduct those unless I can see them. She had huge deductions that year. Some people call them capital gains. Each year she comes back and we check for depreciation. I want you to know that she comes back, and actually that case went to court, and they still stood up in court. I'm Scott, CadrlikCPA. Have a great day.